Princess Nira walked through the royal gardens of Solara, her bare feet brushing over soft, glowing grass. The air shimmered with a gentle light as if the world itself was alive. Strange, colorful flowers swayed without wind, and tall crystal trees reflected the sun in bright, sparkling patterns. Nira loved this place more than anything else. The gardens had always been her secret escape from the weight of being a princess. She moved slowly, her mind drifting back to a memory she had not thought about for many years. She remembered a boy, a human who had appeared suddenly during a visit to a distant mining colony. She was only 7 then, curious and careless. A small accident had happened while she explored a rocky cave, and she had fallen into a deep hole. Panic had surrounded her. People shouted and ran, but it was a human boy who had jumped in without hesitation. She remembered the strength in his arms, the calmness in his voice, and how he had carried her safely back to the surface. That boy's face was blurry in her memory, but the feeling of safety he gave her remained vivid. She had always wondered what had become of him. Did he remember her? Did he think of her as she had thought of him? Nira shook her head gently to clear her thoughts. She tried to focus on her royal duties, but the memory had returned with unusual clarity today. Something in her heart told her that this memory was important, and that it might soon touch her present life. The sound of approaching footsteps brought her out of her thoughts. It was unusual for anyone to walk in the gardens without permission. Nira turned to see a group of visitors arriving at the palace gates. They were humans, and their presence immediately drew attention from the royal guards. Among them, Nira noticed one human whose movements seemed different. He carried himself with confidence, but there was also a softness in the way he looked around, as if he was not just a visitor but someone searching for something. Nira felt her heart beat faster. She did not know why, but something about him seemed familiar. She had never met him before in her world, yet a strange sense of recognition filled her chest. She wanted to approach, but royal etiquette held her back. She could not simply walk into the halls and speak to a guest without permission. Instead, she stayed hidden among the flowers, watching as he was greeted by the palace staff. The human's name was Milo, according to the palace records. He was part of a delegation from the human colonies, sent to discuss trade agreements and cultural exchange. Nira had seen humans before, but Milo had a presence that was different. He moved carefully, speaking with respect and curiosity, asking questions about Solara's technology and culture. Every now and then he glanced toward the gardens, and Nira could not help but notice his eyes. They were sharp and warm, like the eyes of someone who had seen both danger and kindness. Nira decided she would find a reason to meet him. She asked her personal assistant to arrange a tour of the palace library for the human delegation, a place she knew well and could visit without drawing too much attention. Milo accepted the invitation politely. Nira felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. She had not imagined that the boy from her memories could be standing in front of her after so many years, yet her instincts whispered that it might be him. The next day, the sun rose over Solara, painting the sky with colors that humans could not name. Nira prepared herself for the library visit. She wore a simple gown, unlike the elaborate dresses she usually wore for court events. She wanted to be comfortable, and she wanted to be herself. As she waited in the library, she traced her fingers over the smooth, glowing surfaces of the bookshelves. Ancient Solaran texts floated gently in the air, their words visible only to those who knew how to read them. When Milo entered, Nira felt a sudden rush of emotion. She watched him carefully, looking for any sign that he might recognize her. Milo's eyes widened slightly as he took in the beauty of the library. He moved with care, touching some of the floating texts and reading their titles quietly. Nira felt a strange connection forming, a bridge between the human world and her own. "Princess Nira," Milo said politely, bowing his head.
"It is an honor to visit your library."
"I have heard much about its knowledge and beauty." Nira smiled softly. "Welcome, Milo. I hope you find it as fascinating as the palace itself. Solara is full of surprises if one looks closely." They walked together among the glowing bookshelves. Nira asked about his travels and his life among humans. Milo spoke of distant planets, human cities, and the challenges of living far from home. His words were simple, yet they carried a depth that Nira could not ignore. She noticed how humans could adapt to any situation, how they could think creatively and bravely in moments of danger. Her admiration grew quietly in her heart. As they moved deeper into the library, Nira paused before a section of old records and maps. She remembered the mining colony where she had almost fallen as a child. Milo leaned over to look at a map, and she felt a sudden, inexplicable surge of hope. Something about his posture, the way he studied the map, seemed exactly like the boy she had remembered. Her heart beat faster, and she struggled to maintain her composure. The rest of the delegation was discussing trade agreements in another room, giving Nira and Milo a rare moment of privacy. She decided to speak carefully, testing the waters. "Milo," she said softly, "have you ever visited a mining colony called Karis? Many years ago there was an accident there, and someone saved a young girl. Do you remember anything like that?" Milo froze for a moment, his eyes widening in surprise. His mind raced through old memories, almost forgotten. Then he remembered a small, frightened girl, a dangerous fall, and the overwhelming instinct to help. His heart skipped a beat. I think I do," he said quietly. "It was long ago, but I remember carrying a child to safety. She was brave even when she was scared. I never thought I would meet her again." Nira felt her chest tighten with emotion. The connection she had sensed for days was real. The boy who had saved her as a child was here, standing beside her as an adult human. She struggled to find words, feeling a mixture of surprise, joy, and disbelief. "It was me," she whispered. "I was that girl." Milo blinked, then a small, amazed smile appeared on his face. "I cannot believe it. After all these years, I never imagined we would meet again. And now, here we are." They stood in silence for a few moments, absorbing the reality of their reunion. The library around them seemed to glow even brighter, reflecting the warmth and connection between two worlds. Nira realized that this meeting was more than a personal memory. It was a reminder of the courage and kindness humans could offer, and a symbol of hope for the future of Solara and its relationship with humans. As the day passed, Nira and Milo continued to explore the library together. They shared stories of their lives, laughed at small misunderstandings, and marveled at the strange floating texts. Nira could feel the spark of trust and admiration growing between them. She knew that this human, once a childhood savior, could now be a partner in a future filled with challenges and possibilities. The sun set over Solara, casting long shadows across the gardens and palace. Nira watched the colors change, feeling a quiet happiness she had not felt for years. She knew that tomorrow would bring new adventures and perhaps new challenges, but she was ready to face them. The boy who had once saved her was now by her side, and together they would discover how humans and Solarians could change the galaxy. The morning light spilled across Solara, painting the palace in golden colors. Princess Nira woke with a sense of excitement. The memory of meeting Milo yesterday still lingered in her mind. She could not stop thinking about the boy who had once saved her and now stood before her as a grown man. Today she would see him again during a formal reception for the human delegation, but she hoped they could find a private moment to talk more. Nira moved through the palace corridors, her gown flowing softly behind her. Servants passed with trays of food and floating lanterns, but she barely noticed them. Her mind was busy imagining all the questions she wanted to ask Milo. How had he lived all these years? What adventures had he faced? Did he remember the fear in her eyes that day on the mining colony? She felt a strange combination of curiosity and hope, a feeling she had not experienced in a long time. As she entered the grand reception hall, the room was alive with colors and sounds. Aliens from various worlds attended, each unique and fascinating. Some had wings, some had glowing patterns on their skin, and others had eyes that could see in all directions. Yet among all the crowd, Nira's gaze was fixed on Milo. He stood tall, observing the gathering with calm curiosity. His presence seemed different from other humans she had seen before. There was a quiet strength about him, a mix of intelligence and courage that drew attention without demanding it. Milo noticed Nira almost immediately. When their eyes met, a small smile appeared on his face. He could sense her curiosity and the recognition that went beyond the formality of a royal event. Nira felt a shiver of excitement. She knew that their past connection had created a bond, but she did not yet understand how deeply it would affect her present. The ambassador from the human colonies approached Milo, speaking quickly about trade agreements and exploration plans. Milo nodded politely, but his thoughts were elsewhere. He glanced toward Nira repeatedly, as if trying to measure whether it was wise to speak to her now. He remembered the small child he had saved all those years ago, and the memory filled him with a sense of responsibility and care. He realized that helping her then had been the beginning of something that neither of them could yet fully understand. As the reception continued, Nira noticed small things that reminded her of the mining colony. She saw a crystal vase that looked like the stones where she had almost fallen, and it made her heart race. She remembered how Milo had carried her so carefully, his hands steady and his face calm. She wondered if he ever thought of that day, if it had shaped him as it had shaped her. Nira decided she had to find a way to speak to him privately. When the crowd moved to a side garden for refreshments, Nira took a deep breath and approached Milo. The garden was quieter than the hall, filled with soft lights that floated above the ground. Strange flowers glowed in gentle shades of blue and purple, and a small stream ran across polished stones. It was the perfect place for a private conversation. "Milo," Nira said softly, her voice carrying just enough for him to hear. "Can we talk for a moment? I want to show you something." Milo's eyes lit up with curiosity. "Of course, Princess. Lead the way." They walked together along the stream. Nira stopped in front of a small cluster of flowers that seemed to bend slightly toward her, as if recognizing her presence. She reached out and touched one, and it emitted a soft, soothing light. Milo watched her, fascinated. "These flowers are beautiful," he said. "I have never seen anything like them." "They are special to me," Nira replied. "They remind me of my childhood. Sometimes places or things carry memories, and I like to visit them when I need to think." She turned to Milo, her eyes serious. "Do you remember the day you saved me on Karis?" Milo nodded slowly. "I remember. I remember how scared you were, but also how brave you tried to be. I never imagined I would meet you again." Nira smiled softly. "And now you are here. I feel like fate brought you back to my world." They walked along the stream, sharing memories of that day. Nira spoke of how frightened she had been, how dark the cave had seemed, and how she had felt when Milo lifted her to safety. Milo shared his perspective, talking about the fear he felt for her and the instinct that drove him to act quickly. They laughed at small details, like how Nira had insisted on holding a tiny crystal as a lucky charm while he carried her out. The conversation made them both feel closer, as if the years apart had never existed. As the morning progressed, a group of Solaran scholars approached, asking Milo questions about human technology. Milo answered politely, but Nira could see that he was distracted. His attention kept drifting back to her, and she realized that he felt the same connection she did. Nira decided to take a risk. "There is something I want to show you," she said, leading him to a smaller courtyard. There, a holographic projection of Solara's history floated in the air. It displayed ancient events, wars, and alliances with other worlds. Nira touched the projection, pausing at a specific moment in history, the mining colony of Karis. Milo's eyes widened as he saw the projection. He could recognize the terrain, the rocky cliffs, and the small structures of the colony. This is where it happened," he said quietly. "Yes," Nira replied. "I never thought I would see it again like this. But now with you here it feels complete. You saved me and somehow it changed everything." Milo looked at her, understanding the weight of her words. "And you grew up to be a princess, a leader of your world. I am proud that I could help, even in a small way. It seems that day was the start of many things, not just for you, but for both of us." Their conversation was interrupted by a sudden alert from the palace security system. Sensors had detected an unusual energy signature near the outer perimeter. Nira and Milo exchanged a glance, both realizing that something unusual was happening. Nira felt a surge of determination. "We need to see what it is," she said. Milo nodded. "Let's go. We should be careful, but we can face it together." They moved quickly through the palace corridors, past guards and attendants who were unsure what had caused the alert. When they reached the perimeter, they saw a small craft hovering above the gardens. It was unlike any human or Solaran design. The surface shimmered and a soft hum filled the air. Nira felt her heart beat faster. She had seen strange ships before, but this one carried a different energy. Milo studied it carefully, noting its unusual structure and the way it moved silently in the air. A panel on the craft opened, revealing a figure inside. It was tall and armored, with glowing eyes that scanned the area. Nira instinctively stepped behind Milo. "What is it?" she asked, her voice steady but cautious. "I am not sure," Milo replied. But I have a feeling it is not here for peace. The figure extended a device that projected a holographic message. A voice metallic and calm, spoke in multiple languages at once. Princess Nira, human envoy Milo, we come with a warning. Your alliance with the human colonies is under observation. Do not interfere or there will be consequences. Nira's eyes narrowed. Who are you? She demanded. And what do you want from us? The figure did not answer directly. The message repeated itself once, then the craft vanished as silently as it had appeared. Nira and Milo stood in the courtyard, the air still humming from the energy of the ship. Nira felt a mix of fear and determination. She realized that her world was not safe, and that challenges were coming faster than she had imagined. Milo placed a hand on her shoulder, offering reassurance. We will face this together, he said firmly. Humans and Solarians can solve problems when we work together. We will not let them threaten your world, Nira nodded. She could feel the courage within her growing, fueled by the presence of the human who had once saved her. She knew that the days ahead would be difficult, but with Milo by her side, she felt ready to face whatever dangers the galaxy could bring. As the sun rose higher, casting light over Solara, Nira and Milo returned to the palace. They needed to prepare for the challenges that awaited them. But for the first time in years, Nira felt a sense of hope and excitement. The boy who had saved her as a child was now her ally, and together, they could confront the unknown and protect the future of their worlds. Walking back through the gardens, Nira looked at Milo and smiled. I never imagined that the human who saved me would become someone I could rely on so much. Milo returned her smile, his eyes filled with warmth. And I never imagined that saving a small child would lead me to meet a princess and a friend who could change the galaxy. We have a long journey ahead, but I am ready. The wind swept through the glowing trees, carrying a soft hum of life. The garden seemed to whisper of possibilities, of challenges and adventures yet to come. Nira and Milo stood together, united by the past, strengthened by the present, and ready to face the future. The morning on Solara was calm, but the quiet could not hide the tension in the palace. Princess Nira and Milo had spent the night discussing the mysterious craft that had appeared near the gardens. Neither of them slept well. Nira had felt fear for the safety of her people, and Milo had been thinking about the unknown technology and the implications of the warning. Both knew that the galaxy could be more dangerous than they had imagined, and that the challenge ahead would test their courage. Nira moved through the palace halls, her steps light but purposeful. The royal advisors were already gathered, discussing the sudden appearance of the alien craft and the message it had delivered. Nira listened to their ideas, but she felt that the situation required more than traditional diplomacy. She needed to understand the threat personally, and she knew Milo was the only human who could help her see the problem clearly. Milo entered the room quietly, carrying a small device of human design that could scan energy signatures. I have analyzed the craft's energy from yesterday, he said, showing a holographic projection. It is unlike any Solaran or human technology I have seen before. The power source is highly advanced, and the control system seems to respond to thought patterns, rather than physical controls. Nira studied the projection carefully. The image showed a faint outline of the ship, glowing with shifting colors that pulsed like a heartbeat. So it can think on its own? She asked, her voice tense. Not exactly think, but it reacts intelligently, Milo explained. It can respond to threats and seems capable of planning. Whoever created this technology is very advanced, far beyond most civilizations we know. The weight of the situation sank in for Nira. She realized that the threat was serious, and that waiting for the attackers to make a move could be disastrous. She turned to Milo, her eyes filled with determination. We cannot just wait for them. We need to find out who sent it and why. We need answers before it is too late. Milo nodded. I agree, but we need to be careful. We do not know the full extent of their technology, and we should prepare for anything. Together they moved to the palace's command center, a room filled with screens, maps, and advanced Solaran instruments. Nira activated a large map of the surrounding space, highlighting nearby colonies and known trade routes. We need to see if there have been other sightings like this, she said. If this craft is not alone, it could be a part of a larger plan. Milo worked quickly, connecting his human devices to the Solaran system. He scanned for unusual energy signatures, looking for patterns that could reveal the origin of the ship. After several tense minutes, a faint signal appeared on the map, coming from a remote asteroid field beyond Solara's orbit. "There is a strong energy signature here," Milo said, pointing to the projection. "It matches the technology of the craft we saw yesterday." Nira leaned closer. "Then we need to investigate it. We cannot wait for them to come to us. We must go to them." The decision was not easy. Traveling to the asteroid field could be dangerous, and no one knew what awaited them. Nira gathered her advisors, explaining the situation and requesting a small team for a mission. The advisors were hesitant but respected her judgment. They prepared a ship capable of reaching the asteroid field quickly, while offering protection against unknown attacks. As the preparations continued, Nira and Milo discussed the strategy. Nira was curious about Milo's human skills, which often relied on instinct and creativity, rather than Solaran technology. "Humans can think differently," she said. "Sometimes you see solutions where we see obstacles." Milo smiled. "And Solarians can analyze and understand details faster than humans. If we work together, we can cover each other's weaknesses and be stronger." The ship was ready by late afternoon. Nira and Milo boarded the small vessel, which shimmered with Solaran energy and hummed quietly as it activated. The rest of the crew took their positions, ready for any challenges. Nira felt a mixture of fear and excitement. She knew that venturing into unknown space was dangerous, but she also knew that courage often came from facing the unknown with determination. As the ship left Solara's orbit, Milo stood beside Nira, monitoring the energy readings. "The asteroid field is dense," he said. "Navigation will be tricky and we need to be alert. Even a small mistake could be dangerous." Nira nodded. "We will move carefully, but I want to reach the source. We need answers." The journey was tense. The asteroid field loomed ahead, filled with jagged rocks and floating debris. The ship maneuvered carefully, using both Solaran energy shields and human navigation skills. Nira watched the asteroid field pass by, feeling the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. She was not just protecting herself, but her entire world. As they moved deeper into the field, a sudden alarm sounded. Milo checked the readings and frowned. "Something is moving," he said. "It is not part of the natural asteroids." From the shadows of the field, a small fleet of ships emerged, unlike anything Nira had seen. They were sleek, dark, and their surfaces shimmered with a strange energy. The ships moved with precise coordination, surrounding the small Solaran vessel. Nira's heart raced, but she forced herself to stay calm. Milo stepped forward, his hand hovering over a control panel. "We need to communicate," he said. "If they do not respond, we may need to defend ourselves." A holographic message appeared from one of the ships. The figure was the same as before, tall and armored, with glowing eyes. The voice spoke clearly. "You should not have come here. This is private territory. Leave now or face the consequences." Nira squared her shoulders. "We are here to understand. We do not seek conflict, but we will defend ourselves if necessary. Tell us who you are and why you are threatening Solara." The figure paused, then spoke again. "You do not know the forces you are dealing with. Solara's alliance with humans is a concern. You must not interfere in our plans. Leave this field immediately." Nira looked at Milo, her eyes steady. "We cannot leave. We need to know their intentions. We must protect our people." Milo nodded, his expression serious. "I agree. We need to gather information and be ready to act. Humans are good at finding solutions in unexpected situations. Let's see what we can learn." They moved closer to the central ship of the fleet, using the asteroid field for cover. Milo analyzed the energy patterns, noticing weak points in the ship's shields. Nira observed the ships, trying to understand their movements and strategy. Together, they realized that the fleet was monitoring them rather than attacking immediately. Suddenly, a small drone detached from the central ship and moved toward them. It was sleek, silent, and emitted a faint blue light. Milo and Nira held their breath as the drone approached the vessel. The drone scanned the ship and then projected a message. "Your presence is noted. We will not attack immediately, but your actions are being observed. Prepare for judgment." Nira felt a chill run through her. The words were threatening, yet there was no immediate danger. She knew that the situation required careful thinking. "We must find out more about these people," she said to Milo. "They have advanced technology and they know how to use it. But we cannot let fear control us." Milo placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "We will handle this together. Humans have faced worse odds before, and with your skills and my experience, we can find a way." They spent hours studying the fleet from a safe distance. Nira was amazed at Milo's ability to notice details, patterns, and weaknesses. He explained how humans could predict movements based on small changes in instinct. Nira combined that knowledge with her understanding of Solaran technology, forming strategies that could outmaneuver the fleet if necessary. As the sun of a nearby star set, casting long shadows across the asteroids, Nira realized something important. This was not just a threat. It was a test. The unknown force wanted to see how Solara and its human allies would respond. Courage, intelligence, and cooperation were their tools, and they needed to use them wisely. Finally, Milo pointed to a small, unshielded structure within the asteroid field. "There," he said. "That may be their command center. If we can reach it safely, we may learn who they are and what they want." Nira nodded, determination shining in her eyes. "Then we will go there. Together." As the ship moved carefully toward the structure, Nira thought about the human who had saved her as a child. She realized that courage and kindness could appear in the most unexpected forms. Milo's presence reminded her that humans were capable of extraordinary deeds. She felt a new sense of hope. The asteroid field stretched ahead, dark and dangerous, yet full of possibility. Nira and Milo braced themselves for what lay beyond. They knew that their discovery could change everything. The truth about the fleet, the mysterious technology, and the threat to Solara awaited them. And together they were ready to face it, relying on their courage, trust, and shared past to guide them. The asteroid field loomed before them like a dark sea filled with jagged rocks and shadows. Princess Nira gripped the railing of the ship's observation deck, her eyes scanning the faint glimmers of energy that marked the alien fleet. The small command center that Milo had pointed out earlier was not far now, but every second closer meant a higher risk. Her heart raced, yet a sense of determination grounded her. She was not just a princess. She was a protector of Solara, and she would not allow fear to control her. Milo stood beside her, calm and focused. He had been analyzing the fleet's movements for hours, noticing small changes in patterns that hinted at strategy. "They are observing us closely," he said quietly. "If we make the wrong move, they will attack. But they seem hesitant. That could mean they are testing us." Nira nodded. "Then we will move carefully, step by step. We need to understand their intentions before we act." The ship advanced slowly, weaving through the asteroids. Energy readings flashed across the panels, showing the presence of hidden ships and devices. Nira watched Milo work, amazed at how he combined instinct with precise calculations. Humans seemed to notice things that Solarians might overlook, and his perspective gave her a new way of thinking. Suddenly, a warning alarm sounded. A wave of energy pulsed through the ship, shaking it slightly. Nira and Milo exchanged a quick glance. "They are testing our shields," Milo said. "We need to reinforce them and prepare for possible attacks." Nira moved to the control panel, her fingers tracing the glowing symbols of Solaran technology. Energy shields flared to full strength, surrounding the ship in a protective bubble. Milo adjusted the human systems, syncing them with Solaran power to create a stronger defense. The two worked together seamlessly, their cooperation reflecting the trust that had grown between them since their first meeting. As the pulse faded, a small communication device activated. The holographic figure appeared again, tall and armored, with glowing eyes that scanned the ship. "You persist in entering this field," the figure said. "Your actions are reckless. Leave now or face consequences." Nira stepped forward, her voice steady. "We are here to understand, not to attack. Solara values peace, but we will defend ourselves if necessary. We need to know who you are and what your intentions are." The figure's eyes glowed brighter for a moment. "You cannot comprehend the forces you are challenging. Solara and its human allies will be tested. Only through cooperation and skill can you survive." Milo frowned. "It sounds like they are looking for weaknesses. They want to see if we can work together under pressure." Nira took a deep breath. "Then we will show them. We will not give up. We must face this test with courage and trust." The ship moved closer to the command center. The asteroid field grew denser and debris began to drift in unpredictable patterns. Nira and Milo coordinated with the crew, adjusting shields, engines, and navigation systems. Every action required focus, and the tension in the air was palpable. Suddenly, a small fleet of enemy ships emerged from behind the asteroids. They moved quickly, attempting to flank the Solaran vessel. Nira's heart raced, but she did not panic. She trusted Milo and the crew. Prepare for evasive maneuvers, she ordered. Follow my lead and listen to Milo's instructions. The ship darted through the asteroids, weaving between rocks and energy pulses. Milo guided the navigation systems, predicting enemy movements and suggesting safe paths. Nira coordinated the shields and energy outputs, ensuring the ship remained protected. Their teamwork was seamless, and the crew responded with skill and precision. As they approached the central command structure, the enemy ships formed a defensive barrier. Nira realized that a direct approach would be too dangerous. She turned to Milo. We need another plan. Can humans hack or interfere with their systems? Milo nodded. I can try, but we need to get close enough without being detected. We need to move carefully using the asteroids as cover. Together, they devised a strategy. The ship would split into smaller units, creating the illusion of multiple targets while Milo worked to infiltrate the alien system remotely. Nira oversaw the maneuvers, ensuring the safety of everyone on board. The plan required precision and trust, and any mistake could be catastrophic. As the ship executed the maneuver, Nira felt her pulse quicken. The smaller units moved in different directions, drawing the attention of the enemy fleet. Milo's fingers flew over the control panel, sending signals and scanning for vulnerabilities. Slowly, a weak point appeared in the central command ship's defenses. Milo's eyes lit up. We have a small opening. If we act quickly, we can access their system and learn their intentions. Nira nodded. Do it. We must know the truth. Milo worked quickly, sending a pulse of energy into the alien network. The screens on the Solaran ship filled with streams of data, showing the fleet's plans, messages, and maps. Nira watched in awe as Milo navigated the complex system, translating the information into something they could understand. The fleet's leader was part of a larger organization that sought to control trade routes and resources in this sector of the galaxy. They had monitored Solara and the human colonies for months, testing their strengths and weaknesses. The warning messages were meant to intimidate, but Milo and Nira's actions had shown them that Solara was capable of defending itself and working with humans effectively. Nira's mind raced. We have the information we need. Now we can prepare a proper defense and negotiate if necessary. We are not powerless, Milo nodded. Yes, but we must act carefully. Revealing that we access their system could provoke them. We need to plan our next steps wisely. The alien fleet seemed to hesitate, as if sensing the change in the situation. Nira realized that their display of coordination, courage, and intelligence had gained them a form of respect. The fleet was powerful, but they could not underestimate the bond between a Solaran princess and a human envoy. As they retreated slightly to a safe distance, Nira felt a mixture of relief and pride. She had faced danger, made difficult decisions, and worked alongside Milo to uncover the truth. Their trust had been tested, and they had proven that cooperation and courage could overcome fear. Milo looked at Nira. You did well. Your leadership and quick thinking made a difference. Humans and Solarians together are stronger than they know. Nira smiled, feeling a warmth in her chest. And you did well too. Your skills and insight saved us both. I never imagined that the boy who saved me as a child would become someone I could trust with my world. They spent the next hours analyzing the data they had collected, planning strategies for Solara's defense and considering possible ways to communicate with the alien fleet without provoking conflict. Nira realized that leadership was not just about power, but about courage, trust, and the ability to adapt to new challenges. As night fell over the asteroid field, the stars reflected off the ship's hull, casting a serene light over the crew. Nira stood beside Milo, looking out at the galaxy. The danger was not over, but they had learned an important lesson. Facing challenges together made them stronger, and their combined abilities could overcome obstacles that seemed impossible. We will need to warn Solara and the human colonies, Nira said softly. They must be ready for what comes next. Milo nodded. And we will prepare. But we will not face it alone. Humans and Solarians together can handle more than anyone expects. Nira took a deep breath, feeling the weight of responsibility, but also a renewed sense of hope. She had faced fear, worked with someone she trusted, and discovered the strength that came from courage and unity. She knew that the days ahead would bring new challenges, but she was ready. With Milo by her side and the knowledge they had gained, she felt prepared to protect her world and her people. The asteroid field stretched behind them, a reminder of the dangers they had faced and the challenges yet to come. Nira and Milo remained vigilant, their bond strengthened by trust and shared experience. They were ready to face the unknown, knowing that courage, intelligence, and cooperation were their greatest weapons. As the ship moved toward a safer position, Nira looked at Milo and smiled. "We have passed the test for now, but I know there is more ahead. Are you ready?" Milo returned her smile, determination shining in his eyes. "Always. Together we can face anything." The stars of the galaxy stretched endlessly before them, full of mysteries, challenges, and possibilities. Nira felt a sense of purpose, knowing that the journey ahead would test them in ways they could not yet imagine. But with courage, trust, and the strength of their bond, she knew they would face the future with confidence. The stars stretched endlessly as Princess Nira's ship approached the alien fleet's command center. The data Milo had gathered had revealed the truth. The organization controlling the fleet was powerful and organized, but it was not invincible. Their goal was to dominate trade routes and test new civilizations. Nira and Milo knew that if they acted wisely, they could prevent a confrontation and secure peace for Solara and the human colonies. Nira stood on the observation deck, her eyes scanning the sleek ships ahead. She felt a mixture of fear, determination, and hope. This moment would decide the future of her world. She turned to Milo, who was monitoring the energy signals and preparing their approach. "We must stay calm," Nira said. "If we show fear, they may think we are weak. We must be confident and ready." Milo nodded. "Humans face danger all the time. Courage and intelligence often win over fear. Let's combine our skills and make a plan." The ship moved slowly, using the asteroid field for cover. Milo guided the navigation, predicting the movements of the alien vessels. Nira coordinated the shields and energy output, ensuring the ship was ready for any sudden attack. Their teamwork was precise, built on trust and experience from their previous encounters. As they reached a safe distance from the command center, Nira activated a communication device. A holographic projection appeared, showing the familiar armored figure with glowing eyes. "You return," the figure said. "Why do you persist? Solara and humans are not ready for this sector." Nira took a deep breath. "We are ready," she said firmly. "We do not seek conflict, but we will defend our people. We also believe that peace is possible. Your fleet need not destroy or dominate. We can find a solution together." The figure tilted slightly, as if studying her carefully. "Peace is difficult. Many civilizations fail under pressure. How do you propose to achieve it?" Milo stepped forward, his voice calm but confident. "By showing that cooperation is stronger than fear, Solara and humans are capable of intelligence, courage, and unity. You may test us, but you will see that threats are not necessary. We can negotiate and work together." The figure paused for a long moment. Then, unexpectedly, it lowered its weapons. "Your words carry strength," it said. "We will observe and consider your proposal. But one mistake, one act of aggression, and the consequences will be severe." Nira nodded. "We understand. We only seek peace and understanding." Milo monitored the fleet closely, noting their cautious movements. "They are listening," he said. "We need to show them that we can act intelligently and safely. Let's demonstrate a plan that benefits all." Nira and Milo began coordinating with the alien fleet, proposing ideas for trade, resource sharing, and cooperation in exploration. They emphasized the value of knowledge and cultural exchange, showing that mutual respect could lead to prosperity. The aliens responded cautiously, testing the proposals and asking questions about Solara's technology and human methods. Hours passed, but gradually, the tension eased. Nira could see that the aliens were impressed by the humans' ingenuity and the Solarians' leadership. Milo explained human problem-solving techniques, showing how quick thinking and adaptability could overcome challenges. Nira demonstrated Solaran energy systems and defense strategies, highlighting the benefits of cooperation. Slowly, a new understanding began to form. The alien leader extended a holographic hand, a gesture of agreement and trust. "You have proven your capability and your intentions," it said. "Solara and humans may continue without interference. Cooperation will be allowed, but vigilance is required. Nira felt a surge of relief and pride. The threat that had loomed over her world was now averted. She realized that courage, intelligence, and trust had carried them through the test. Humans and Solarians working together had achieved what diplomacy alone could not. Milo smiled, sharing her sense of accomplishment. "We did it," he said. "By working together, we showed them that fear is not the only path. Cooperation and courage are stronger." Nira nodded. "And we have learned something important. The galaxy is full of challenges, but when we trust each other and use our strengths wisely, we can face anything." As they returned to Solara, Nira thought about the journey they had taken. She remembered the boy who had saved her as a child, and how that simple act of courage had set in motion a series of events that shaped her world. Now, as an adult, she saw the impact of courage and trust in a larger way. Milo's presence had been crucial, and she realized that humans could achieve extraordinary things when they worked together with other civilizations. Back on Solara, the palace was alive with activity. Advisors and scholars gathered to hear the news of the successful mission. Nira and Milo presented the data and shared their experience, showing how the alien fleet had been convinced to allow peace. The Solaran people were amazed by the cooperation, courage, and ingenuity that had made the outcome possible. Nira walked through the palace gardens, reflecting on the journey. She paused beside a glowing flower, remembering her childhood and the moment when Milo had saved her. She smiled, realizing that the human who had once been a stranger had become a trusted ally and friend. The galaxy was vast, but connections like theirs could make a difference, shaping the future in ways no one could predict. Milo joined her, carrying a small device that displayed the energy patterns of the alien fleet. "The fleet is returning to their territory," he said. "They will monitor, but they respect Solara now. Your people are safe." Nira looked at him with gratitude. "I could not have done this without you. You were brave then, and you are brave now. Humans truly can rise to any challenge." Milo shrugged, smiling. "We do what we can. But courage is not just human or Solaran. It is something anyone can choose." As the evening sun set over Solara, the palace glowed with soft light. Nira and Milo stood together, looking at the horizon. The galaxy was full of unknowns, but they had faced danger, tested their courage, and proven that unity could overcome threats. Nira turned to Milo. "Do you think there will be more challenges?" Milo smiled. "Of course, the galaxy always has challenges, but we have learned that humans and Solarians together can handle them. We will be ready." Nira nodded. "And we will face them with courage, trust, and intelligence. Today has shown that our bond, our cooperation, can make a real difference." The stars twinkled above, reflecting the possibilities of the future. Nira realized that leadership was more than commanding armies or making decisions. It was about understanding, courage, and the willingness to trust others. Milo had reminded her of the power of simple acts like saving a child, and how they could grow into something much greater. Over the next weeks, Solara and the human colonies strengthened their alliance. Trade routes opened, cultural exchanges flourished, and knowledge was shared freely. Nira oversaw these developments, ensuring that cooperation remained the foundation of the new relationships. Milo continued to work with her, combining human ingenuity with Solaran technology to create solutions that benefited both worlds. Nira often visited the gardens, thinking about the journey she had taken with Milo. She remembered the fear, the uncertainty, and the courage it had taken to face the unknown. She felt proud of what they had accomplished and hopeful for what lay ahead. One evening, as the twin moons rose over Solara, Nira and Milo stood in the palace courtyard. The soft glow of the moons reflected on the crystal trees, casting light across the gardens. Nira smiled at Milo. "We have come a long way, haven't we?" Milo nodded, his eyes reflecting the light. "From a small act of bravery to shaping the future of worlds. It is amazing what courage and trust can do." Nira took a deep breath, feeling the weight of responsibility but also a sense of hope. Humans have shown me that courage, kindness, and intelligence can change everything, and together we can face anything the galaxy throws at us." Milo smiled. "And Solarians have shown humans that wisdom, patience, and leadership can guide us through challenges. Together we are stronger than we could ever be alone." The palace around them seemed to hum with life, the energy of a world that had faced danger and emerged stronger. Nira felt a deep sense of pride and purpose. She realized that the galaxy was full of possibilities and that by working together, humans and Solarians could achieve greatness. As the night deepened, Nira and Milo looked at the stars, knowing that new adventures awaited. They had faced fear, uncertainty, and powerful threats. They had discovered the strength of trust, courage, and cooperation. And now, as allies and friends, they were ready to meet the future with confidence. The galaxy stretched before them, vast and full of wonder. Nira felt a sense of peace, knowing that humans could rise to challenges and that their bond with Solara would create a brighter future. With Milo by her side, she knew that the journey of courage and discovery was only beginning. Together they stepped forward, ready to face the unknown. Their courage, intelligence, and trust in each other would guide them through the stars. And in that moment, Nira realized that the human who had saved her as a child had become more than a hero. He had become a symbol of hope, unity, and the extraordinary potential of humans across the galaxy.